Hi, it's Johnny from Cellbone, and you're watching CMS TV.
People started donating money, and people were like, that's a great idea, Steve, that's great. And I kept looking at the posts, and when I got down to about the 50th post of Steve, you're a great guy, all of a sudden it turned. The social media turned to, Steve, you're a millionaire, why don't you pay for this yourself? To, Steve, you suck as a guitar player, I'm never going to see you again. I mean, it just went. And that's the world we live in, that you hide behind your computer and you say this stuff that you'd never say. So I've kind of realized over the years that it can go, I mean, like when I took Billy's place with Dave, it could have been really ugly, but people were cool about it. They were, but
Sure.
sometimes they're not cool about it. There's nothing you can do about that. You got to be kind of secure in yourself that you're taken care of and you get your head straight and you just move on. So I think the whole long answer for that for me is just humility. Know who you are. Don't take yourself too seriously because it could be over tomorrow,
It is Chris Akin Presents. I, of course, am Chris Akin, and I get to interview a lot of guys from all eras, whether it's the current era or the ancient era or somewhere in between. Rarely do I get to speak to anybody with this many accomplishments. This guy from God. If you've listened to rock music in the past 35, 40 years, you've certainly heard something that this guy has played on. He's a legendary bassist with too many. Well, we'll cover some of them that he's played with. Right now, he's out promoting his band, The Squirts. They had a slight layoff between albums 2 and 3, just a mere 20 years, but they are back with The Squirts 3, and here to talk all about it is the bassist himself, Mr. Matt Bissonette. Matt, how are you, sir?
I'm doing great. Thanks for that illustrious introduction. It's very kind of you.
Well, you know what, man? I'm going to tell you the truth. I, of course, know you most from David Lee Roth because I'm of that age,
Right.
and I knew you had done other things. I think I saw you once with Satriani or something. I know you've done a bunch of stuff, but when I went to your Wikipedia page and I was like, well, here he is with Ty Tabor, here he is with Steve Perry, I was like, wow, I don't think anybody realizes how much stuff you have done. So let's start there before we even get to the Squirts. Talk a little bit about being that guy, the guy that gets the calls. Is it, and I'm always curious about this, is it solely the skill or is it how you get along with people? Is that more important, less important? I mean, how do you always end up getting the call for such high profile people?
Well, that's a great question, and I can answer it two ways. I mean, there's the logical way of saying you try and put yourself in the best position you can to, when we were growing up in Detroit's an amazing place. It's a great city, but at the time it was like everybody was having to live in LA to get gigs and to do, go for your career and stuff. So we both, Greg and I, my brother Greg, drummer, we both went to North Texas State, and then we moved out to California later on. So you just have to put yourself in the position. You have to, I always tell people it's about 30% playing and 70% how you relate to people and how you get along. Because nobody wants to be on a tour for 6 months with a guy that's stealing all the meat off the meat tray or whatever.
Right.
Like practical things like that. I mean, you have to learn your instrument. You have to be able to sing. As a bass player, you need to be able to sing backgrounds or, support the artist any way you can and do all that stuff. But I mean, if I was to honestly say, sometimes Greg and we talk about it. Sometimes we'll go to dinner and just go, we're these two kids growing up in Detroit that loved the Beatles. And we loved music, and it turned into this whole thing. And we just look at ourselves and just go, how, not that we're like conquering the world or anything, but we're very fortunate to have made a living playing music all these years and supporting our families and to have these great opportunities. And sometimes when we're in the middle of these opportunities, like with Ringo, playing with Ringo or something, we look at each other and just go, this is really weird that we're playing in this band with this guy that we were imitating when we were 10, 9.
Sure.
But I mean, I can't really put the onus on anything besides we pray a lot. I believe in God. Okay. I believe in Jesus. I put I put all my decisions before that first. Everything I do, I try and put it through that filter. I can't explain it any other way, because there's certain runs that have happened in my life that I go, there was like 5 different gigs happening within 2 years. Like at one point, I remember around 2001, I was realizing, man, I've got a son who's 5 years old, and he's looking at me like, I need to eat, you know. And I was doing our own band at the time, the Mustard Seeds, and I wasn't really working at all, making like $300 a week playing cover gigs, barely hanging in there. And I remember just getting on my knees and praying, you know, I got to get it up. I need something to happen here, because I was ready to get out of music and get a job or whatever. And then all of a sudden, around 2000, right around 2000, I got a call from Rick Springfield to play in his band. And while I was doing his band, he was gracious enough to let me take time off and do everything. And then that like 5-year run led to Satriani. You know, I played with Satriani when we did the Extremist record in 93, 92. And then Joe called me back to do about 6 more albums. Out of the blue, it just came, you know, around 2001, started recording with Joe and going on the road with him too, while keeping Rick's gig, which he was cool enough to do that. Then the ELO thing happened, and then Ringo happened. It was just this flurry of things, you know, and like with musicians, it's feast or famine all the time. There's no security, there's no dental plan. It's just kind of, you just do what you've got in front of you. So I can't really explain in practical terms how things like that happen, other than God working in your life, you know. But sure. I mean, but you have to do, it's like that verse in the Bible that says, faith without works is dead. I mean, you have to do the work. You have to bust it. And I'm not like a really huge schmooze guy. A lot of guys go to clubs and they work that, or they go on a golf course, and there's more gigs passed around on golf courses and these baseball places. We always play softball on the weekends. Gigs are tossed around there and stuff, but it's, you know, I'm very fortunate that I haven't had to schmooze a lot.
Right.
That is like my brother is. My brother can do that, and I have ridden on his coattails for a long time too. So.
Well, I think some of that has to do with your amazing ability as well. I think you're selling yourself a little short there, but let me ask you this, and then we'll move on to the squirts. Is there, and if there is, what is it? Is there a skill to working for people that are perceived to be difficult? And you have done that. And I'm not saying these guys are difficult, because I don't know. You certainly do. But I mean, David Lee Roth has a reputation. Elton John has a reputation. Don Henley has a reputation. Brian Wilson. I mean, they're the megas of the mega. I get that. And that almost leads a lot of people down that road to having that. So that's why I'm asking you. You've played with these guys for a long time too, not for 3 days and then you're out.
Right.
Is there a skill, and what is that skill if there is?
Hey, you. Why are you watching this with commercials? Go commercial free and unlock exclusive content. Become a VIP today on Locals, Substack, or Rumble Premium. Stop waiting.
Well, I mean, I'm difficult too. I mean, we're all difficult. So if you start from just going, you know, put yourself in their position, these guys, like a Dave or an Elton or Joe, these guys have worked so hard and so focused. Like when I saw the Led Zeppelin movie that just came out, when I saw Jimmy Page talking about, you talk about focus, that guy had everything boom, boom, boom down the line, from the record, owning the masters. He was so focused, and you have to do that to be a Dave or a Joe or an Elton. You have to just be career driven and do that thing. That's not the way I am, but I respect that. So I kind of try and put myself in their position and look at it as a job that my brother and I always say, whenever we do a session, we come in that room and we leave the room nicer than when we got there when we leave. You just go there and you just get along with people, and you do whatever it takes to do the job that they would want to call you back. It's just, we grew up in Detroit with, you know, hard labor jobs and stuff. My dad was a truck driver for Tasty Bread, and I saw my dad work every day. I remember one day he got sick. It was his first day he missed work in like 30 years, and he's puking in this basket. And I go to him, well, there goes your record, Dad. And he looked at me like, you know, he just worked so hard that you know, back there, back in the Detroit and Cleveland area and everywhere. You just work, So we're blessed that this work that we're doing is creative and we get to do our thing. So applying that, I'd say like working with Elton or working with Dave, I start like with Elton. I start playing when my friend Bob Birch, who passed away, I took his place. I just memorized everything that he did from the last show that he did before he passed away. And I wanted to walk in that situation. So these guys who were grieving over Bob passing away, they had gigs like 2 weeks later. So I had to learn the show and get going on that. And I didn't want to go, they go, well, do you want to bring all your equipment out? And I was like, I'm just going to use whatever he used because I know when we get there, everyone's going to be freaking out. So let's just cut it down to the least amount of work so that I can work into this and nobody gets flustered, And I remember I was playing all the parts that Bob played the first 5 shows, and then Elton called me in the van coming back from one of the gigs and said, hey, I respect that you've done your work, and that's the main thing is you have to do the work. You have to, when you're getting into a band, you have to learn everything that the guy before you did and then go back like to Dee Murray playing with Elton and learn exactly what they did and then do your own thing. So Elton calls me one night and he goes, I appreciate that you did all this work and the band sounds great, but I really want you to play whatever you want to play. And that's like the golden ticket for a musician is that someone respects you enough to just do that. And then we just jam. And that's all that gig is just jamming, So that's not very often that way, but it was with him. And like with Dave, it's more like you're doing the show and you just, you stay out of the way of the stuff that's flying around and you just do the thing. Because all these guys are so talented to get where they are. You have to respect that and just be a good guy through the whole thing. That's the main thing.
Right on, man. Well, dude, let's talk about the record that we're here to talk about. Let's talk about number 3 from the Squirts. Like we said, took a little time to get here from number 2. I'm making an assumption. Tell me if I'm right or wrong. Being bored with COVID led you to start writing and start working on stuff. Yes?
C, writer's block. 20-year writer. No. Yeah, you're probably done a million interviews with what happened during COVID. It was like an explosion of everything that you never had the time to do. And we had, when we first played with the Squirts, we were with Rick Springfield and his band, and we asked Rick, we started recording songs in my studio, George Bernhardt, Roger Carter, the drummer, and we'd go to my house and record songs for music publishing, for movies and TV and stuff. And we started developing the sound, and then we just kind of made a CD, and then we asked Rick at the airport, hey, can we open up for you on your shows? And selling it to him like it's going to be a great sound check for you because it's the same gear. You'll sound that much better when we come out, and we'll make some extra money. So he let us do that for years. So and then we go, hey, can we sell T-shirts? Yeah, go ahead. Can we sell hats? Yeah, cool. And Rick was so cool about it that we just kind of double dipped for several years, So then we all left Rick's band for various reasons, and George moved to Nashville. Roger's in Woodland Hills, and I'm in Orange County. And yeah, during COVID, I had a couple different records that I did that I probably would have never done. And I think it all started with George just sent me a track of something, of guitar or something, and then just turned into 2 songs, 3 songs. It just kind of exploded into this thing. And we just kind of made a determined effect, we're going to write a song. Every song we write, we're not worried about selling millions of records. We're not worried about, we're too old to be MTV heartthrobs. We're just going to write what we want to write, but we definitely want to have a bridge in every song that is just off the charts, nothing to do with the song. So we had certain parameters that we wanted to do. But this album, because of the way the world is now musically, you don't have to write 10 songs of exactly the same groove. Right. You just do whatever you want. And that's freeing for most of the musicians now is in the single world of singles. You can write anything, and it's kind of freeing. So
sure. And that's a great point from listening to the album, or the release as they're called these days, is it's all over the map, which is fun. It's, as well as I do, there's nothing wrong with AC/DC. We all love an AC/DC record, but you can listen to any AC/DC record and you get kind of the same result. Right. Where with this, like I'll tell you, my favorite track on here is maybe the oddest of them all, which is When You Die, just because it's almost 90s Matchbox 20 alt rock sort of a thing. It definitely stood out to me For you, as a creator and as somebody that has played so many styles, do you need to have that total freedom now just because when you're working, you have to be locked into such a hard parameter of a style, whether it's Elton or Roth or whomever?
Man, you've done this for a living. Yes, great questions.
Thanks.
I think that the older you get and the less serious you take yourself as an artist, because I think of myself first. I mean, I've always wanted to have a band and be that guy. And I had our band, the Mustard Seeds, for 12, 13 years. And it's eye-opening about how hard that is to have a band, and I can't even imagine what it's like now. Back then it was like getting a van and a trailer and going from point A to point B. Now it's like I don't even know how these people make their money starting out with a band. It seems like it's so difficult, but they're figuring it out in new ways. But I kind of got that beaten out of me of like having to, have my own band and do this. And then I started working with other people around 2000. So that kind of took a lot of pressure off could you imagine the pressure of U2 after an album? And then they get in a room and they go, we have to do something better than the last record and something completely different. I mean, that pressure to me is like only bands like that can pull that off. Otherwise, you never, they go off the map. So for us, we have none of that, and a lot of people don't have that anymore. They just kind of go. The music business is unless you're at the very, very top, Taylor Swift land and all that stuff, then you're making all that serious money and doing all that stuff. But for the rest of us, we get to play in the sandbox and do whatever we want. So since those parameters are off, it's just so much more fun. And the fact that you can record an album in your home studio, we all got home studios, and do it for nothing, that saves so much stress from the old days, Sure. I mean, all the records I have of stuff that I did are sitting in my attic. It was at least $30,000 a record to go into Capitol or East West and record and, put out all this money. So it's kind of nice to have everything in-house, and then you can make mistakes and fix it. Pro Tools is forgiving. It's not like tape. You can try a million different things and no rush to do it, no label telling you to hurry up. So it's very, very good time to be alive and to be able to do music.
Sure. Let me devil's advocate a little bit of what you said there just for a minute. You were talking about, being in a band at that high level, that it's so eye-opening. I'm going to kind of turn it the other way. You've been in those situations. You've obviously played even at the stadium level. You've played at every level you can possibly play at. That being said, how hard is it when you've gotten accustomed to that to kind of turn around and work on a band like the Squirts that is not going to be that? That's going to be, if you go and take it on tour, you take it on tour to small clubs. To me, that seems like that would be frustrating to look out and see 200 people when you're used to 50,000. You see what I mean?
Your daily metal fix is on Rumble. Watch the Classic Metal Show episodes free or go commercial-free with a premium subscription. Find your Classic Metal Show now at rumble.com/c/CMS, rumble.com/c/CMS.
I know exactly what you mean. And I think that question is answered only by your worldview about the way you look at the whole thing. A lot of the people that I've worked with have willingly or unwillingly fallen in love with being famous or being on the charts. And later in life, when they're not on the charts, you can see this sadness and this. Once you've been to that top, you want to stay at that top. Mm-hmm. I've been blessed to see how that works. And that there's really no gold in any of those fields. At that hill is unattainable, because even if you get to that thing, there's nothing there. I mean, maybe you'll get more money, you'll get more fame, but everything goes like this, and it dips and turns and weaves and stuff. So I've gotten a bird's eye view of how that kind of works with friends of mine. And for me, sometimes I'd rather play original songs in a club while they're eating pasta and not even listening. Or, they're talking and we're just playing, having fun with each other. And, sometimes it's kind of a relief to do that. But I sometimes get more nervous playing our songs in front of 200 people than I would be like when we go up with Elton. Like we just played the Grand Prix in Singapore, and I didn't know it, but it was like a one-off because we're doing one-offs now for the next couple of years or whatever. So we show up at this one-off, and there's 80,000 people at this racetrack for the concert.
Right.
No idea, you know. So you put your in-ears on, you put my suit on, put my glasses on, you walk out, you put your in-ears on, and the crowd goes crazy, you walk out and you play, and you get that thing in your stomach, like that excitement thing. And I can equate it to like when my son plays baseball, and when he goes out for the national anthem, his stomach is turning because he doesn't know what the future is going to bring. But he gets on the field, that first ball comes to him, makes the play, and it's game on, and the nerves go away. That's exactly the way it is for me. But after we start playing a song or two, it's like I'm in my garage or something, just jamming, you know, and it because I'm not having to put out the energy to entertain the crowd, because you got this force, Elton's just taking it all, so I can just kind of hide behind that. I don't have a problem with that. I like that, because the pressure of being the guy, I think God spared me from that, because I probably couldn't handle it, or I'd make stupid decisions. So it's a great question, because it's kind of the way you look at it. You know, if you take that too seriously, and when you think that those people are actually there because they love you so much, you know, I mean, I saw something online the other day that really got me. Steve Vai was a great friend. His tech, Thomas, got into a biking accident, and he got hit by a car or something. So Steve put a GoFundMe thing up online, and people started donating money, and people were like, "That's a great idea, Steve. That's great." And I kept looking at the posts, and when I got down to about the 50th post of "Steve, you're a great guy," all of a sudden it turned. The social media turned to "Steve, you're a millionaire. Why don't you pay for this yourself?" to "Steve, you suck as a guitar player. I'm never going to see you again." I mean, it just went. And that's the world we live in, that you hide behind your computer and you say this stuff that you'd never say. So I've kind of realized over the years that it can go. I mean, like when I took Billy's place with Dave, it could have been really ugly, you know, but people were cool about it. They were, you know, but sometimes they're not cool about it. There's nothing you can do about that. You know, you got to be kind of secure in yourself that you're taken care of, and you get your head straight, and you just move on. So I think the whole long answer for that for me is just humility. Know who you are. Don't take yourself too seriously, because it could be over tomorrow, you know?
Sure, definitely. Well, Matt, with the squirts and with the release out there, you know, what kind of plans do you have, or can you even make? You guys are all busy, you know. I mean, what do you have plans that you can make to get out there? Maybe not for a full run or whatever, but maybe some shows here or there when schedules meet. Is that what you're looking at?
Yeah, well, we've talked about it. I mean, it'd have to be something practical. I mean, we'd love to jump on some kind of a mini tour or a couple shows. Like with the Mustard Seeds, we used to open up for Satriani sometimes, and sometimes with friends of ours that are out on the road, we can kind of weasel our way into an opening spot or something. But I mean, you know, I'm 64 years old. We're all about the same age, and it's a little different now. I mean, if something came up, we'd be all over it, and we'd jump in the van and act like we're 20 again, and that would be fun for about a week, maybe, you know.
Right.
But I mean, that's the funny thing, man, is that, I mean, we just did a one-off with Elton in Dubai, okay, 2 weeks ago.
Okay.
And first class, Emirates airline, you get the pod, you're sleeping for 12 hours, and you get there, and food and everything, and it's just getting paid a lot of money. Then you come home, and then I did a cover gig in the middle of the week for, you know, decent money, and it was great, fun, but having to learn like 40 songs. If you don't do those shifts in this business where you're up and down, you're screwed. You know, you just gotta know that it's up and down. So if anything came up with the squirts, I'd be the first one to I'd drive the van.
Nice. Very nice. Matt, before we wrap this up, I did want to ask you about one guy that doesn't get nearly enough love that you've worked with. He's one of my all-time favorite musicians. It'll probably surprise you. Julian Lennon.
Oh, yeah.
I think this guy, you know, we hear all the time about guys that have gotten lucky, you know, with their careers. They found the lottery ticket, and they weren't necessarily as talented as they warranted. I look at Julian Lennon as the polar opposite of that. Maybe the most talented guy that never got ahead, specifically because of his family, more or less, is you're never going to beat the Beatles. Right. So in your estimation, as somebody that knows him, as somebody that's worked with him, tell me about Julian and tell me about his talent. Am I crazy in thinking that he's one of the most talented guys that did not have superstardom?
Get more metal in your inbox. The Classic Metal Show is on Substack. Listen or watch for free or subscribe for VIP exclusive content. Find us at cmspn.substack.com.
No, you're absolutely right, and the world is filled with guys like that. I mean, it's hard to believe that having John Lennon as your dad could hinder you in any way. You would think.
And he sounds like him.
It sounds like when he first came out with the "Ever Since You've Been Leaving Me," when that song came,
the Vlad album, yeah,
it was like, here's John Lennon's son. Let's rally behind him, and that was huge.
Mm-hmm.
I think that I worked with him somewhere right after that album, or the second or third album, and I remember Bob Ezrin, who's a great producer, who's worked with everybody. He worked with Dave when we were recording some stuff. With David Lee Roth, we were recording some songs. Bob was producing that, and he called me to play on it. So I just, Julian Lennon, okay, wow. Show up, and there he is. I'm bringing my stuff in. He helps me carry in my bass. He's like a normal guy. I'm going, this is John Lennon's son. And he just starts talking to me. And we're talking, we're hanging out, and he goes, and in between songs, he go, let's go play darts at the pub next door. So we're just sitting there playing darts, and I'm talking to him, and he's so normal. I mean, that's the thing. I think the thing is when you walk into situations like that, you don't geek out and just start asking questions. You just, like with Ringo, you don't go, so Ringo, what was it like doing this? You have to be patient and just kind of read the room and know if someone's, it's like when you in an Uber ride, you just don't start talking because maybe the guy doesn't want to talk to you. But he just opened up and started talking. And I know guys that hang out with him now, just a normal guy. But when he sings, and when he writes something, my skin was going because there was a song called Saltwater. Have you ever heard that song?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, when he sang that song, it was like being in the room with John, and it was just freaky,
Sure.
And I still don't understand why he's not doing more, but I'm sure probably a lot of it is because he probably doesn't even want to. I'm sure he's not struggling to get to the top. I don't even know. But he's an immensely talented guy, and I mean, what a weird story. You would think that would always work for you, that you're the son of a Beatle. But
well, yeah, and I mean, you can, in today's world, if you wanted to make a direct comparison, you can look at Wolfie Van Halen. Wolfie Van Halen gets every bit of the love from his dad's work, where Julian, look, I'll argue all day long that his album Photograph Smile is the best non-Beatles album that's ever been recorded. Yeah, and no one even knows that it exists, which is scary. It's just crazy.
It's very weird the way that stuff works out, and you have to kind of almost file it into, it's not meant to be at this particular time. Who knows what his circumstances are, why it didn't happen. You just kind of have to have faith that what you have, and can't look over your shoulder. I mean, how do you explain that, Yeah. I mean, you're right. You're right.
Absolutely. Well, Matt, obviously, man, to wrap this up, the Squirts is out there. Squirts 3 is the best place for us to send people Bandcamp so that they can actually buy something instead of just downloading it or shamelessly listening to it.
Yeah, I think Bandcamp, and it's through Vanity Records. Our friend Dave putting it out. So, yeah, that's the best way to get it. So, I mean, in this new world, I mean, it's probably on every platforming thing right now anyway, but hopefully people will go to Dave's site, the Vanity site, or to Bandcamp and pick it up because we want everyone to hear it, I think it's important.
Well, it's a great listen. It's fun. It'll take you on a roller coaster, that's for sure. Don't expect it to just be an even ride. It is definitely all over the place.
I appreciate you even listening to it. You're a good man. I'll send you a check.
Oh, thank you. Well, Matt, one more time. It is number 3, The Squirts, and Matt Bissonette. This has been great, man. Thanks for joining me here on Chris Akin Presents.
Thank you, buddy. Thanks for everything.
Craving the ultimate treat without the hassle? Introducing Randy Trask No-Bake Cookies, the best gourmet no-bakes on the market today. Perfect for parties, events, work vibes, or just pure cookie bliss. Indulge in our peanut butter no-bake cookies or the irresistible chocolate peanut butter fumblers. Local delivery is available in the Ashtabula, Ohio area. Or visit www.rtnobakecookies.com and order your cookies today from Randy Trask's No Bake Cookies.